Welcome to another edition of the Insider Mailbag. I'm Jared Johnson. I'm joined by the mighty Joe Yeager. Well, mighty Joe, how you doing, man?
Well, doing a little bit better now that we went back to the old format method of the introduction there. Jared and I were just talking about that, how we sort of switched things up a little bit and introduced me first or something. Anyway, it was a little bit different from the old approach, and I think both of us were kind of thrown off key a little bit. So Jared's gone back to the old way, and I'm feeling better as a result.
Me too. We're creatures of habit. Even where we stand. I need to be to the left of you. In the press box, I think they actually, it's been a decade. We've sat next to each other in the press box of Tech football games, and I've always been to your left. We do every video. I'm on your left. And one year, like 3 years ago, they set me to your right, and I just sat there. And it was all messed up. Because we talked during the game, and I think it's important. It helps. I think us talking through, having our different perspectives and what we're seeing, and it threw me completely off. So I was like, never again. I don't care where our name tags are. I'm sitting to the left of you from now on. And I should introduce you last, apparently. So here we are. All right, getting to the questions. Tech Freak says, who do you have winning the Super Bowl? Do you even know who's playing in the Super Bowl, Mike Joe? Kansas City and San Francisco.
Yeah. It's been probably maybe 7 years since I actually watched a full NFL game.
Wow.
So I really, I'm completely ignorant on the subject. I know some guy named Mahomes plays for, I believe, the Chiefs. But beyond that, man, I'm not the guy to go to. I'm really not.
Yeah, I'll go with, I love the NFL. I watch as much as I can possibly get away with. And I've seen San Francisco and Kansas City play a whole lot this year. Here's my breakdown of it. San Francisco has the better all-around team. There is no doubt, especially at the skill positions on offense other than quarterback. Kansas City has a great defense, one of the better defenses, especially playoff defense, that style. It's really good. It's probably the best defense Mahomes has ever had in terms of college and pro. Their skill positions are not great. I do like Pacheco, but here's where it comes down to me. I like Brock Purdy. I don't think he's just a game manager, as Cam Newton said recently. And I've always liked Brock Purdy. I even said in some of these videos, Texas Tech and Iowa State matchups, but Patrick Mahomes or Brock Purdy, I'm taking Patrick Mahomes. If Mahomes had offensive line problems like he did a couple years back when they played Tampa, maybe I would go San Francisco. But Mahomes and Andy Reid, they're just too good. They're too good. Mahomes is so experienced at this point, and I think the difference between Mahomes and Purdy is so wide that I think it's going to overcome San Francisco's overall talent advantage. All right, Anonymous wants to know, if Tech uses any two-back setups in football in 2024, who do you expect to be the second back after Brooks? Great question. And first off, I actually talked with Zach Kitley, the offensive coordinator, right before the bowl game after the regular season, asked him a lot about how the offense played, what changes he wants to make, all those things. And one of the main things that stood out to me was he does want to use many more variations of different formations. That means 21 personnel, like you're saying, 12 personnel, even going heavy 13 personnel with 3 tight ends. So all kinds of variations. He really regrets not doing that more. I think some of that was with all the injuries at quarterback. But getting to your question, who the second running back is, I have no idea. I think that's a great question. I think that is going to be, obviously, Taj Brooks, basically All-American, one of the top players in the country coming back. That's your dog. That's your guy, your bell cow. But who's going to back him up, and will he get some relief, which he did not get this past season?
That's right. Cameron Valdez came back.
Yeah.
And he was he didn't blow things up or anything last year exactly. Is he your second best guy? He seems default to be your second best guy right now. So that's kind of the obvious answer. What about some freshman like a Jamari Davis? Yeah. Or an Anquan Willis or somebody like that? Do one of those guys pop up and sort of surprise us a little bit? Something to keep an eye on during spring ball.
I like Willis. He looks like he could be a stud. He has a different upright style. He looks bigger than he's listed. One of my favorite, Sir Roderick was like that. He was faster in the game and looked bigger, ran bigger than all his listed measurements. Willis has that same kind of feel. He's a one-cut, really good vision, accelerates fast. I think Willis could be a really good player for Texas Tech at some point. Tall Cool wants to know, why has basketball in general forgotten about shot fakes on three-pointers to dribble up for a closer, higher percentage, wide-open mid-range jumper? Well, I think for me, basically all the numbers say shoot more threes than mid-range. So that's why you see it. And guys shot fake to sidestep and shoot another three instead of going in for mid-range. My classic thing, you said Rolando Blackman, who's one of my all-time favorite players. Actually, growing up as a Map fan, great player. I actually got to interview him, 12 years ago or something like that. And it was great. I was trying not to nerd out, geek out about it. But no, I think it's really just that, and I've heard coaches say, like, we want to shoot more threes just because the numbers, and I know people get tired of hearing so much math in sports, but the numbers really dictate, like, if you can get a wide open three and you have a pretty good shooter, you take that three.
Yeah, that's what's going on. And, there's copycat with the NBA as well. I mean, if that's what they're doing in the NBA, that's what guys at the collegiate level are going to want to do too. And, I think also you can't completely overlook the sort of the emotional aspect of it, because I think there is a thrill that comes with hitting a triple that doesn't come with getting into the paint and hitting a little 15-footer. And so guys, it's just it's a personal thing with a lot of guys being able to knock down that three. So there's a lot of stuff going on there, but yeah, I agree that the analytics probably dictate most of it.
Next question comes from Afros53, who says, so the Hoops team has evidently had their second brush with the flu this season. He said, you probably don't know, so a rhetorical question, I guess. Do they get flu shots this year or not? Yeah, I have no idea if the players had flu shots or not. Basically, Afros wants them to know why would they be sick if they got flu shots. Now, I'm no doctor. Last time I got a flu shot, I immediately got sick. Yeah. And that was years ago. I'm not against vaccines. Now, don't get me into the COVID thing, because I can go down a whole rabbit hole with you on that. In terms of big pharma having bought out the government, there being no restrictions. I'll start sounding like Robert Kennedy Jr. here talking about it. But if you do some investigating on vaccines, I'm not against all vaccines. I get it. I'm not an anti-vaxxer per se, but there are some problems with the way our country puts in vaccines and makes us take vaccines, and whether it works or not, and all that stuff. People still get sick sometimes when they take flu shots.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, the flu vax is basically designed any particular flu season for a particular strain of the flu. And there may be all sorts of different strains out there right there. So it may give you protection against that particular strain that they believe is going to be dominant that year. But then you're still exposed to all sorts of other things. You want to take a flu vax, that's cool, no problem. Maybe that works for you. But I would just hope that that's a matter of personal decision on the part of players. If they want to take it, they can, but they're not required to.
One thing about that, in Lubbock right now, the flu, and really for a couple months, has been just hitting this town hard. I can't speak to other communities, but in Lubbock, I know you've had it. My girlfriend had it. I'm like, knock on wood, one of the only people who haven't had the flu these last couple months. I tend to get sick like early fall, which is not flu season. Like I had a really bad, some kind of bug. And I don't know if it's just getting used to getting up and taking the boy to school, and so my immune system gets down and I just get my butt kicked then. But that's the last 3 years, it seems like I miss at least one football game after for multiple years I'm missing any football game because I'm sick. And it sucks. It pisses me off. But nobody likes to get sick. And the flu that's going around in Lubbock right now seems to be a particularly nasty thing. And is really kicking the town's butt, to be honest. So some really tough people, you included, I know, who bounce back from things really fast, have had a hard time bouncing back from this sucker or some of the bugs going around Lubbock right now. Syntex Red Raider asks, did Hamby get fired or quit? He was fired. And in terms of completely why, I do not know. I've talked with very good sources about it, and they really just want to keep it under wraps. It's kind of I'll let you know exactly, what's going on when I can. But I get the feeling, just in my experience doing this, that we probably won't ever get the complete whys in terms of from Texas Tech's. I don't know if Hamby might say something at some point, But it was a surprise. And it was a surprise to Hamby from what I've told. I haven't talked to him, but from what I've heard from people I trust, it was a surprise to him. And something had to give, I think, offensively. Offensive line, it hasn't been completely Hamby's fault at all. I wouldn't say that, but they have not shown a lot of improvement the last 2 years. I think it's been one of the weakest parts of the team. And I mean, even Taj Brooks, with all the success he had, there's a reason why he broke more tackles than anybody else in the country. That's because he had to. There was a lot of times he broke those tackles in the backfield, not at the second level or further. So I hate it because he's a former player, but we've been through this I don't know how many times, even just in the last decade with former coaches being let go. And that part of it sucks, but, it's big business, big boy football, and I don't disagree with the move overall, my Joe.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, ultimately, coaches are evaluated on how their position group performs.
Yeah.
That's their job,
Yeah.
If that position group has got to be up to par. And frankly, it just hasn't been the last couple of years. And, when that happens and it's more than one season at this level where there's so much at stake, you're in danger of getting on the chopping block. And I don't know if that's all of it, if there may have been something else going on in there, but certainly this was a position of concern, and it has been for a while. So if there was going to be some sort of a move in the coaching staff, you would isolate probably that spot as the most likely for it to happen, and it did.
Next question comes from RCMMHH95, who says, what is Mighty Joe Yeager's stance on using nouns as verbs?
You can probably guess. I'm not too keen on it, like portaling, for instance. Man, that drives me. He's going to portal. Nah, man, he's going to enter the portal. On the whole, not a big fan, no. I
invented a word with my son just the other day. He's always saying, that's sus, Dad. What you're doing is sus. And so I, jack with him, dad jokes, and I invented sussery. More sussery from my boy. What do you think about that one? Sussery.
Yeah, it sounds like some kind of nasty casserole or something, something you really would not want to eat. There's a pot of sussery over there on the stove there, but no thanks.
My first job back in down in Brownsville, Texas, as a sports reporter, I used the word ginormous, like ginormous victory, before it was in the dictionary. And my editor was like, you can't use ginormous. It's not a real word. And I said, come on, it's a commonly used word. I think it was descriptive and apt in this case. I think it should stay. He said, no. He said, when it's in the dictionary, you could use it. So, they do an update, Webster's Dictionary, like every year. A couple months later, guess what showed up in the dictionary? Ginormous. My next story, guess how many times I used the word ginormous? Let's say the over-under was 50 on that. And he was just swearing at me, laughing like, you're such a... But, I think sussery is going to be in the next update.
That's what I'm going to be looking for, man. If it appears, then I'm going to use it as well.
More sussery from Mighty Joe and Jarrett. All right. Elder Texan 79 wants to know about who's going to be the offensive line coach. Was Hamby part of the problem? In the name of saving time and stuff like that, I already have a video posted with 3 possible candidates. So check that out, my reaction to Hamby. It's on YouTube. It's on Inside the Red Raiders. Check that out in terms of 3 candidates, possible candidates, I believe, who could replace Hamby as the offensive line coach. J. Luke Raid, who wants to know, who are the board monitors this year, or is it an automated system on the back end that flags for removal once certain criteria has been met? So some of the forms outside this paywall are lunacy. They are lunacy, and they have been since I got here. And obviously, my policy is very different than what Steve Pitts, and he had maybe even a dozen moderators. And the problem I had with it was philosophically, it got down to a point where the moderators were causing a lot of the problems, and even saying things that I did not want. Like, sometimes it's hard for me to get into people's minds that what you say as representing us can affect all of us. Like, I don't care what your opinion is on a certain subject. You can say you can believe whatever you want. I truly am all for that. But when you represent the site, and when my job, my livelihood, and everybody else's can be on the line, don't speak up. Go anywhere else but our place of business to talk about that. And some people just couldn't understand that. They thought I was arguing some point, like that certain point. And that happened over and over again. I got tired of it. So when we moved, I just didn't reinstate the moderators, let them know about it, and it's more free flowing on the freeboard. It's crazy, it's wild, but I prefer that. I think it's a more accurate reflection of society and a kind of a locker room, which I think is what I tend to look at the board in terms of being kind of like locker room talk between guys. Mostly, I know there's some girls on the site, but just philosophically, I think it's better than when I go to other message boards and it's like if you say one thing that's against the company line, boom, you get zapped. I think that's horse crap, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. The government that governs best governs less,
right,
as they say. I'm not a libertarian necessarily, but I do agree that the way you're doing things right now is the way that I would do it if I was in control.
Okay, final question. Get Your Ass to Mars wants to know about our staff fitness. He says, what does each staff member bench, squat, deadlift, the average JJ exercise routine, and could Mighty Joe Yeager fight one Big 12 coach in a no-holds-bar scuffle? Which one and why? I think, Scott Drew. I think Mighty Joe would mop the floor with Scott Drew, to be honest. Grant McCaslin, maybe. Honestly, just from stature, he does appear to be really tough. Don't get me wrong, but no, Mighty Joe could hold his own for sure. I have no doubt of that.
Yeah, if I had my choice, I wouldn't really want to fight any of these dudes because I don't hate them. Most of these coaches are just, I might have my disagreements, but there's none of them that I really despise enough that I'd want to punch them. With the one exception a little bit, now Jamie Dixon gets on my bad side from time to time, and I'm like, ooh, man, my Irish starts getting up, but he's a pretty big old boy. He played at TCU. That'd be a pretty tough contest.
Yeah, and then Mighty Joe, our workout routines. I know you're a big believer in the body weight. You do push-ups and sit-ups, and you also do you jog or walk or what?
Yeah, do a lot of walking every day, and every morning that I can. 2 sets of push-ups, 100, and then the next set's 65. And so 165 total, and usually take about a 5-minute breather between the 2 sets. It's enough for me, I'll tell you that.
You're looking good. Actually, my mom here, this is just a coincidence, but recently said she watched one of our videos and said you were looking really good. You look like you lost some weight, so it's working. I know for me, obviously I lost a lot of weight a couple years back, and for the most part, I've done a good job keeping that off. Here in the last, I would say, 3 or 4 months, not walking as much, not eating as good as I was, drinking too much, all that stuff. So not a New Year's resolution, just listening to my body. I was like, you know what, I've significantly cut back on my drinking, other unhealthy activities. I'm trying to sleep better, eat better for sure, more vitamins, and I'm on a 5-day block where I walk every day, and I walk about 2.5 miles with a 25-pound vest on, and then after that, I've shortened my lifts because there's only so much time in the day. I can't get it all done, to about 45 minutes to an hour, and they're universal. I work out chest, shoulders, arms, and back every one of those 5 days, and one of the problems I was having before was I was working out like 14 days in a row or something like that, which is good, but your body needs that time to recover. So I'm really doing 5-day blocks where I work and then like 2 days off. 5 days on, 2 days off. Like I've today, which I'm going to this afternoon, would be my 19th walk and lift of the month. So, and then I'll do one more, it'll be 20. And to me, 20 or 22, something like that, is a pretty good number in terms of if I do that every month, continue to eat right, I think it'll be pretty good. Now, in terms of my numbers for bench, squat, all that, it's been so long since I actually tried to max out. It's good for people to do that, but at my age, I don't want to pop a shoulder. I already get enough twin, I believe in lifting heavy. Don't get me wrong, you lift heavy for the gains, but man, trying to go too much, I don't want to not be able to work out. You don't want to get injured. I'm not doing this to get injured. I'm doing it to be healthy. So it's a big part of my physical and mental health. I know it is for you too. And the health benefits of doing anything. Just do something. Nike had it right when they said just do it. They really did. Just do something. Be active. Don't live a sedentary life. And I think it'll prolong your life. And not just that, but your day-to-day existence will be much better.
Absolutely. Yep. Quality of life, man. And I'm not into it quite as much as you are. I don't know as much as you do about it, but you know, it's documented proof, man. You sit around on your butt all the day, just chumping down Cheetos and drinking bad beer, then you're in trouble. So you need to get up and be active. I agree.
Indeed. All right, Monty Joe, great stuff from you. Great questions from y'all. Really appreciate it. Until next time.